Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Nara Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Sorry for the delay. I was actually wrapping up a online course. So that was the last concluding session of for today. So the devotees had some queries. I was actually solving those queries. So we'll just immediately go to the... We had to read this, right? 14th shloka. Yeah, we were supposed to start this. Okay. So in this particular 14th shloka, he says that, yeah, Matangi Mataji, you can be in listening mode. Fine. So he's saying that the Lord of power. So Krishna is the Lord of power also. Krishna is the Lord of sweetness also. But these two are not two different personalities. They are one and the same only. So this is what he is saying. It's a very nice shloka. He's saying that Namo namaste astva rishibhya sattva sattvatam vidura kasthaya muhu kuyoginam nirastasamya tishyena radhasa swadhamni brahmani ramasyate namaha. Sushil Prabhu, please do the honors of reading the purport and the translation both.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, who is the associate of the members of Yadu dynasty and who is always the problem for the non-devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual world, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. Purport. There are two sides of the transcendental manifestation of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. For the pure devotees, he is the constant companion in the case of his becoming one of the family members of the Yadu dynasty, or is becoming the friend of Arjuna, or is becoming the associate neighbor of the inhabitants of Vrindavana, as the son of Nanda Yashoda, the friend of Sudama, Shridama, and Madhumangala, or the lover of the damsels of Brajabhumi, etc. That is part of his personal features. And by his impersonal feature, he expands the rays of Brahmajyoti, which is limitless and all-pervasive. Part of this all-pervasive Brahmajyoti, which is compared to the sun rays, is covered by the darkness of the Mahatattva. And this insignificant part is known as the material world. In this material world, there are innumerable universes like one we can experience. And in each of them, there are hundreds of thousands of planets like the one we are inhabiting. The mundaners are more or less captivated by the unlimited expansion of the rays of the Lord, but the devotees are concerned more with his personal form from which everything is emanating. Janmadhyashaitaha. As the sun rays are concentrated in the sun disk, the Brahmajyoti is concentrated in Golok Vrindavana, the topmost spiritual planet in the spiritual sky. The immeasurable spiritual sky is full of spiritual planets named Vaikunthas far beyond the material sky. The mundaners have insufficient information of even the mundane sky, so what can they think of spiritual sky? Therefore, the mundaners are always far, far away from him. Even in the future, they are able to manufacture some machine whose speed may be accelerated to the velocity of the wind or mind, the mundaners will still be unable to imagine reaching the planets in the spiritual sky. So the Lord and his residential abode will always remain a myth or a mysterious problem. But for the devotees, the Lord will always be available as an associate. In the spiritual sky, his opulence is immeasurable. The Lord resides in all the spiritual planets, all innumerable Vaikuntha planets. By expanding his plenary portion along with his liberated devotee associates, but the impersonalists who want to merge in the existence of the Lord are allowed to merge as one of the spiritual sparks of the Brahmajyoti. They have no qualifications for becoming associates of the Lord, either in the Vaikuntha planets or in the supreme planet, Goloka Vrindavana, described in the Bhagavad-gītā as Madhama, and here in this verse as the Swadhama of the Lord. The Madhama or the Swadhama is described in the Bhagavad-gītā 15 verse 6 as follows. What's calling it? I'm just keeping Mataji.
Yeah.
The Lord's Swadhama does not require any sunlight or moonlight or electricity or illumination. The Dhamma or place is supreme, and where whoever goes there never comes back to this material world. The Vaikuntha planets and the Goloka Vrindavana planets are all self-illuminating, and the rays are scattered by those Swadhama of the Lord constitute the existence of the Brahmajyoti, as further confirmed in the Vedas like the Mundaka Upanishad 2.2.10, Katha Upanishad, and Svatashara Upanishad 6.14. In the Swadhama of the Lord, there is no need for sun, moon, or stars for the illumination, nor is there need of electricity. So what to speak of ignited lamps? Or on the other hand, it is because those planets are self-illuminating that all effulgence has become possible, and whatever there is that is dazzling is due to the reflection of the Swadhama. One who is dazzled by the effulgence of the impersonal Brahmajyoti cannot know the personal transcendent. Therefore, in the Ishopanishad 15, it is prayed that the Lord shift his dazzling effulgence so that the devotees can see the reality. It is spoken thus. O Lord, you are the maintainer of everything, both material and spiritual, and everything flourishes by your mercy. Your devotional service or bhakti yoga is the actual principle of religion, Satya Dharma, or I am engaged in that service. So kindly protect me by showing your real face. Please therefore remove the veil of your Brahmajyoti rays so that I can see your form of eternal bliss and knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we learned this in our Bhakti Shastri course, Shri Ishopanishad. Yeah. So in this 14th slok, what he's saying over here is that when he says Sattvatam, he's specially referring to the Yadus. And Rishibhya Sattvatam means, leader of the devotees. And so he's saying that when he says, this Ku Yoginam, he's using this word. Ku Yoginam means non-devotees. And when the Lord is speaking to Narad Muni in Canto 1, Chapter 5, he says that for those who are not complete in practice of devotional service, or those people, for those people I do not really manifest myself, means I do not manifest myself to the Ku Yogis, those who are not devotees. And here also he is saying the same, he says, that I keep myself very much out of reach of the Ku Yogis or the non-devotees. So we'll read the 15th one. Yad kirtitan, yad kiratnam, yad smaranam, yadikshanam, yad vandanam, yad shravanam, yad arhanam, lokasya sadhyo vidunoti kalmasham, tasmai subhadra Shravase Namo Namaha. This is also very nice shloka. Rupa Mataji, please read translation and purport both.
Hare Krishna. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom glorification, Remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing and worshipping can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer. Purport. The sublime form of religious performances to free oneself from all reactions of sins is suggested herein by the great authority Sri Sukadeva Goswami Kirtanam. Or glorifying the Lord can be performed in very many ways, such as remembering, visiting temples to see the deity, offering prayers in front of the Lord, and hearing recitations of glorification of the Lord mentioned in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad-gītā. Kirtanam can be performed both by singing the glories of the Lord in accompaniment with melodious music and by recitation of scriptures like Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad-gītā. The devotees need not be disappointed in the physical absence of the Lord, though they may think of not being associated with Him. The devotional process of chanting, hearing, remembering, etc., either all or some of them, or even one of them, can give us the desired result of associating with the Lord by discharging the transcendental loving service of the Lord in the above manner. Even the very sound of the holy name of Lord Krishna or Rama can at once surcharge the atmosphere spiritually. We must know definitely that the Lord is present wherever such pure transcendental service is performed, and thus the performer of offenseless kirtanam has positive association with the Lord. Similarly, remembrance and prayers also can give us the desired result if they are properly done under expert guidance. One should not concoct forms of devotional service. One may worship the form of the Lord in the temple, or one may impersonally offer the Lord devotional prayers in the mosque or church. One is sure to get free from the reactions of sins provided one is very careful about not committing sins willingly in expectation of getting free from the reactions by worshipping in the temple or by offering prayers in the church. This mentality of committing sins willfully on the strength of devotional service is called Namo Bala Dyasyahi Papa Buddhihi, and it is the greatest offense in the discharge of devotional service. Hearing, therefore, is essential in order to keep oneself strictly on guard against such pitfalls of sins, and in order to give special stress to the hearing process, the Goswami invokes all auspicious fortune in this matter. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So if you see, over here, very interestingly, Shivdev Goswami is not speaking, that yat kirtanam cha, or yat smaranam cha, or yat ikshanam cha, that one should perform kirtanam and smaranam and vandanam. He says either kirtanam or smaranam or taking darshan, any one of these limbs is capable of what? It is capable of lokasya sadhyo. Lokasya sadhyo means it is, it is lokasya sadhyo vidunoti kalmasham. He's saying that it is immediately destroying the impurities within the heart. So bhakti is, eka anga and aneka anga. So that way it is very different from the path of Ashtanga Yoga. If you see, and other paths also, which where each limb has to be performed to achieve the success. So, for example, Yam, Niyam, Asan. So, if I say, when I say with Ashtanga Yoga, if I perfect Yam, then only Niyam, then Asan. Yam, Niyam, if I follow, then only I'll be able to perform Asana, then Dharana and all. So, I have to, progress. So, but in devotional service, any one limb can be achieved, can achieve success by performing one of the limbs of bhakti. Like somebody can perform, kirtan and be perfect. Somebody can do shravan and perfect himself. So, and another very interesting thing, Shukdev Goswami is mentioning over here is that he's saying that when he's saying this lokasya sadhya vidonoti kalmasham, he's saying that immediately these impurities are destroyed, like in Canto 3, what is Mother Devahuti saying that Yannamadhya Shravanat Kirtanat Yad Prahan Yad Smaranad Api Kvachit. I forget that shloka. It is, just give me 1 minute. I always forget shlokas. So this is my weakness actually. but I remember the number. that at least remember 33 and 6th number shloka. Yeah. Yad namedhya shravanad kirtanat yat pravanad yat smaranad api kvachit swadho hi sadhya swanaya kalpate utah punaste bhagavan nu darshanad. She's saying that to say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face. Even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offer him obeisances, or even remembers him. So, she's saying that Srila Prabhupada also is actually saying, that how Srila Rupa Goswami say that bhakti can accomplish kleshagni. Immediately it can, wipe away. But very interestingly, the very next verse, that he quotes to establish and to point out, he quotes that even from Srila Rupa Goswami is quoting actually from this Puran, Padma Puran. He says that aparad the phalam papam kutam bijam phalo mukham kramaneva pranayata Vishnu bhakti. He says that these various stages of sin, he says that kramaneva pralayate, sequentially one after another. So Jeev Goswami is commenting on this verse and he's saying that Devavati is saying that Sadhyo. Sadhyo means immediately, now, here. And Padma Purana is saying Kramena. So which one is right? So it is Kramana eva, gradually, or Sadhyo. So over here is saying Kraman. And there is saying, Sadhyo, immediately. So what is the right? So Jeev Goswami is saying that, see, depends on what time scale you want to choose. And he gives this very nice example. And Srila Prabhupada also gives example, this example in the Nectar of Devotion, that if you take a bunch of, lotus petals and pierce needle through it. So anyone watching, he sees that the needle got pierced at once. It seems like, sadhyo, quickly, like, immediately. So here, it may think that, okay, but if someone has recorded that act of piercing and he plays it in very slow motion, you can say 100 speed, then someone can see the needle piercing one petal, then the next petal, then the next petal, then the next petal. So in a shorter time scale, it is, kramena. But if you take the long scale, say like 100 lifetimes, aprarabdha, karma, like, when you say aprarabdha, like it's like a mountain, and it's practically impossible to destroy. So aprarabdha karma by any other process other than devotional service or bhakti, otherwise someone may take, hundreds of lifetime. But compared to that, if one is taking to the path of bhakti, maybe, in maximum 2-3 lifetimes, it will be, destroyed. All these, aprarabdha will be destroyed. And if he applies himself very diligently in this process, maybe in the same lifetime, he may destroy it. So it depends on sadhyo or krameneva, depending on what time, time slot one chooses or time scale one chooses. So Devahuti over here, Shukdev Goswami says, chooses a very huge time scale. So in that time scale, it's sadhyo very soon, immediately. But actually, if you see within one lifetime, it is very difficult. So, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is explaining how the first, the aprarabdha, sins are destroyed, and then how the sinful tendencies are also destroyed in one sense. It's kramena. So, first, all the sins are destroyed, and then there are sinful tendencies also people might have. Like, for example, somebody might have a sinful tendency of stealing. Okay. So that tendency, will take some time to go. So that is a scrum. But, uh, these sinful tendencies are destroyed in like one sense, it is kramena. But if you take a very huge time scale, then it is sadhya. Immediately it happens. So that is why it's said over here sadhya. Both places it is sadhya. Okay, let's go to the next. So Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is a very deeper subject matter. We'll be learning that in our Bhakti Shastri. So we'll see that time also. Vichakshana yachro yacharanopa sadhanat sangam vyudasyo bhayato antaratmanam vidantihi brahman gati gatal kalma staram tasmai subhadra shavase namo namaha. Did we read this again? Oh no, okay, fine. Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, please do the honors of reading this 16th translation and purport both.
Mataji, Hare Krishna Rupam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Ji.
Your voice looks like you're tired, Mataji.
Prabhuji, is it so? No, I am not tired. I am very energetic, Prabhuji. But maybe I'm a little away from my device. I'll just come a little more near.
Okay, Mataji. Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances again and again unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, the highly intellectual, simply by surrendering unto his lotus feet, are relieved of all attachments to present and future existences, and without difficulty progress towards spiritual existence. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna has repeatedly instructed Arjuna, or for that matter everyone concerned with becoming his unalloyed devotee. In the last phase of his instruction in the Bhagavad-gītā, 18.64 to 66, he instructed most confidentially as follows.
Yeah, you can skip the Sanskrit and go on to the translation, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. My dear Arjuna, you are very dear to me, and therefore only for your good I will disclose the most secret part of my instructions. It is simply this: become a pure devotee of mine and give yourself unto me only, and I promise you full spiritual existence, by which you may gain the eternal right of transcendental loving service unto me. Just give up all other ways of religiosity and exclusively surrender unto me, and believe that I will protect you from your sinful acts, and I shall deliver you. Do not worry anymore. Persons who are intelligent take serious notice of this last instruction of the Lord. Knowledge of the self is the first step in spiritual realization, which is called comprehension knowledge, and a step further is God realization, which is called more comprehension knowledge. The culmination of the knowledge of Bhagavad-gītā is God relation, and when one attains this stage of God relation, he naturally, voluntarily becomes a devotee of the Lord to render him loving transcendental service. This devotional service to the Lord is always based on love of God and is distinct from the nature of routine service as prescribed in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Dhyana Yoga. In the Bhagavad-gītā, there are different instructions for such men of different categories, and there are various descriptions for Varnashrama Dharma, Sannyas Dharma, Yati Dharma, the renounced order of life, controlling the senses, meditation, perfection of mystic powers, etc. But one who fully surrenders unto the Lord to render service unto him out of spontaneous love for him, factually assimilates the essence of all knowledge described in the Vedas. One who adopts this method very skillfully attains perfection of life at once. And this perfection of human life is called Brahmagati, or the progressive march in spiritual existence. And as enunciated by Srila Jiva Goswami on the basis of Vedic assurances, Brahmagati means to attain a spiritual form as good as that of the Lord, and in that form, the liberated living being eternally lives on one of the spiritual planets situated in the spiritual sky. Attainment of this perfection of life is easily available to a pure devotee of the Lord without his undergoing any difficult method of perfection. Such a devotional life is full of kirtanam, smaranam, ikshanam, etc., as mentioned in the previous words. One must therefore adopt this simple way of devotional life in order to attain the highest perfection available in any category of the human form of life in any part of the world. When Lord Brahma met Lord Krishna as a playful child at Vrindavana, he offered his prayers in which he said, Bhakti Yoga is the highest quality of perfection to be achieved by the intelligent person in lieu of performing a large quantity of spiritual activities. The examples cited here is very appropriate. A handful of real paddy is more valuable than heaps of paddy skins without any substance within. Similarly, one should not be attracted by the jugglery of Karmakanda or Jnanakanda or even the gymnastic performances of yoga, but skillfully should take to the simple performances of Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc. under a bona fide spiritual master and without any difficulty attain the highest perfection. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So, Rupa Mataji is asking one question over here, and she has a very intelligent question. She's saying that why all these shlokas are starting from let me offer my obeisances to the Supreme Lord. So, the context is that actually it's my mistake only, I beg apologies, that from the 5th shloka to the 10th shloka, Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions. And he's asking primarily two questions, that he wanted to know how does the Lord create this universe through his energies, and how does the Lord maintain and destroy this universe. So primarily he's asking about the Lord's Maya Shakti, her activities, and the Chit Shakti he's asking. So before Shukdev Goswami starts to answer the questions of Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami is offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. And he's offering obeisances so that he can, get the power to speak something about the Lord. Because the Lord is very inconceivable. How can we, glorify the inconceivable? So to glorify him also we require his own mercy. So that's why Shukdev Goswami is actually glorifying in all these shlokas. So these prayers will continue till 25th shloka. Okay. So this is a very, very important shloka. Very, very important shloka. So over here, just give me 1 minute, okay? He's saying that tapasvino danapara yashasvino manasvino mantravida sumangala shemana vidanti vina yadparna tasmai subhadra shavase namo namaha. Yeah, Vrinda beta, please read this translation and purport.
Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Shri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of the Vedic hymns, and the great followers of the Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful result without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord. Purport. Advancement of learning, a charitable disposition, political, social, or religious leadership of human society, philosophical speculations, the practice of the yoga system, expertise in the Vedic rituals, and all similar high qualities in man serve one in the attainment of perfection only when they are employed in the service of the Lord. Without such dovetailing, all such qualities become sources of trouble for people in general. Everything can be utilized either for one's own sense gratification or in the service of one's other than oneself. There are two kinds of self interest also, namely personal selfishness and extended selfishness. But there is no qualitative difference between personal and extended selfishness. Theft for personal interest or for the family interest is of the same quality, namely criminal. A thief pleading not guilty because of committing theft, not for personal interest, but for the interest of the society or country, has never been excused by the established law of any country. People in general have no knowledge that the self interest of a living being attains perfection only when such an interest coincides with the interest of the Lord. For example, what is the interest of maintaining body and soul together? One earns money for maintenance of body, personal or social, but unless there is God consciousness, unless the body is being properly maintained to realize one's relation with God, all good efforts to maintain body and soul together are similar to the attempts of the animal to maintain body and soul together. The purpose of maintaining the human body is different from that of the animals. Similarly, advancement of learning, economic development, philosophical research, study in the Vedic literature, or even the execution of pious activities like charity, opening of hospitals, um, and the distribution of food grains should be done in relation with the Lord. The aim of all such acts and endeavors must be the pleasure of the Lord and not the satisfaction of any other identity, individual or collective. Samsiddhir Hari Toshana. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.27, the same principle is confirmed where it is said that whatever we may give in the charity and whatever we may observe in austerity must be given over to the Lord or be done on his account only. The expert leaders of a godless human civilization cannot bring about a fruitful result in all their different attempts at educational advancement or economic development unless they are God conscious. And to become God conscious, one has to hear about the all auspicious Lord as he is described in the literature like the Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, if you see over here, he's saying that tapasvino. Tapasvino means, jnanis who are performing tapasya. Great learned sages. Learned sages means jnanis, okay? And then he's saying that danapara, those who are performing charity, the great performer of charity. And then he's saying yashasvino. So, there are specialized, the great worker of distinction. These are, specialized karmi workers. And then he's saying that manasvina mantra vidha sumangala. People with a proper conduct, you can say, who are following the rules and regulations of Varnashram Dharma and all the Vedic principles. And then he's saying that Shemam na vindanti vina yat paranam. So he's saying that without working, this working for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, none of these people can attain any benefit. So if they are not working for, either the jnanis or the yogis or the karmis, because if you see, when you say that manasvina means, the jnanis, the great philosophers of mystics, mantra vidha, those who are, keeping on constantly chanting. So these people cannot attain perfection without actually doing bhakti. So if you see in this 9th chapter only of this canto, where what is that? Just give me 1 minute, okay. Yeah. Is it the 36th shloka or not? Yes. Though a person who's searching after the supreme truth, the personal Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, both directly and indirectly. So saying, Etava deva jigyasam tattva jigyasunam atmana anvaya vyatikarebhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. So he's saying that the Supreme Lord is saying that, my dear Brahma, find out that process which when performed gives result, which when not performed does not give any result. So he's saying that performance gives result and non-performance gives no result. So in this particular verse, it is fulfilling that what criteria it is, that it is fulfilling the criteria of vyatikarebhya. Vyatikaremi means indirectly. Okay, so indirectly also it can fulfill. So he's saying that non-performance will not give result, because sometimes even if you don't perform, you still get some, but non-performance will not give result. So practitioner who is giving charity, or the practitioner of charity in this case, okay, dana paraha over here, or a karmi or a jnani, he may perform karma, jnana or etc. But non-performance of bhakti will not give the desired result. So, if he does not perform bhakti, then whatever his desired result is, it will not give him that. Which means that this vyatikare condition is fulfilled. All the other, parts of jnana, karma, etc. So, they fail this anvaya criteria. Because one may practice karma, but if that practice of karma is devoid of bhakti, and then mere practice of karma cannot give results. Therefore, karma and jnana, they fail this anvaya criteria. Whereas bhakti, the superiority of bhakti is established by this vyatikare criteria. If you see, an example is that this particular text only, the previous text, okay, if you see, what criteria is it actually fulfilling? Okay, this criteria, it is fulfilling the anvaya criteria, that like a jnani performing bhakti achieves his desired result of merging into the Brahma Jyoti, right? So that is direct performance is giving result, and non-performance does not give result. So even if you see in this 18th also shloka, you will see that the anvaya criteria is actually fulfilled. So in this particular 36th number shloka, this is what he's saying, that anybody who is directly following bhakti, who is directly doing bhakti, that person only will get result. So in the next shloka also, if you see, the 16th shloka, no, we have to take the 17th, 18th. This is also very important shloka. It is actually very nice. It is in this 18th shloka, it is saying that people of any sinful race or even addicted to some sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of his devotees due to his being the supreme power. So, who are those people? They are the Kirata, Hunandra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Kahasadayah, Na अन्य च पाप यद अपश्रायस्य सुध्यन्ति tasmai prabha vishnave namaha. So he say actually these Pulinda people, they are the Greeks, and this Abhira people, no, they are actually the Muslims over here. You can say the part of old Sindh where Kshatriya and gave up this Kshatriyas gave up this Kshatriya mentality, and then they become actually Malecha. So that is the Abhiras. So he's saying that anybody, whoever it be, these people are still, if they can be purified. Anybody who is sinful or having any sinful tendencies also, these people also can be purified by taking up to the process of bhakti. So now, Anvaya category means what? Direct category. And Vyatikare means what? Indirectly, right? So now 18th shloka is actually Anvaya criteria. Yeah, so who will read? Neha, please read. Priyanka,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
Yeah. Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasa, Abhira, Sumba, Yavana, members of the Khasa races and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisance unto him. Purport: Kirata, a province of old Bharatavarsha mentioned in the Bhisma Parva of Mahabharata. Generally, the Kirtas are known as the aboriginal tribes of India, and in the modern days, the Santal Parganas in Bihar and Chota Nagpur might comprise the old province named Kirata. Huna. The area of East Germany and part of Russia is known as province of Hunas. Accordingly, sometimes a kind of hill tribe is known as Hunas. Andhra, a province in southern India mentioned in the Bhisma Parva of Mahabharata, it is still extant under the same name. Pulinda, it is mentioned in the Mahabharata Adi Parva 174.38, with the inhabitants of province of the name Pulinda. This country was conquered by Bhismasena and Sahadeva. The Geeks are known as Pulindas, and it is mentioned in the Vana Parva of Mahabharata. The non-Vedic race of this part of the world would rule over the world. This Pulinda province was also one of the provinces of Bharata, and the inhabitants were classified amongst the Kshatriyas king. But later on, due to their giving up of the Brahmanical nature, they were mentioned as Lichas, just as those who are not followers of Islamic culture are called Kafirs, and those who are not followed of the Christian culture are called heathens. Abhira, this name also appears in the Mahabharata, both in the Sabha Parva and Bhisma Parva. It is mentioned that this province was situated on the river Saraswati in Sindh. The modern Sindh province formerly extended on the other side of the Arabian Sea, and all the inhabitants of that province were known as the Abhiras. They were under the domination of Maharaja Yudhishthir, and accordingly to the statements of Markandeyan, the Lichas of this part of the world would also rule over Bharata. Later on, this proved to be true, as in the case of Pulindas. On behalf of Pulindas, Alexander the Great conquered India and on behalf of Abhiras, Muhammad Gauri conquered India. These Abhiras were also formerly Kshatriyas within the Brahmanical culture, but they gave up the connection. The Kshatriyas who were afraid of Parasurama and had hidden themselves in the Kausalian hilly regions, later on known as Abhirisa, and the place they inhabited was known as Abhiridasa. Sumbhas or Kankas, the inhabitants of Kanka province of Old Bharata mentioned in the Mahabharata. Yavnas. Yavna was the name of one of the sons of Maharaj Yayanti, who was given the part of world kingdom as Turkey to rule. Therefore, the Turks are Yavnas due to being descendants of Maharaja Yavna. The Yavnas were therefore Kshatriyas, and later on, by giving up the Brahmanical culture, they became Licha Yavnas. Descriptions of the Yavnas are in Mahabharata, Adi Parva 85.34. Another prince called Turvasu was also known as Yavana, and his country was conquered by Sahadev, one of the Pandavas. The western Yavana joined the Duryodhan in the battle of Kurukshetra under the pressure of Karna. It was also foretold that these Yavanas are also will conquer India, and it proved to be true. Khasa. The inhabitants of Kasadesa are mentioned in Mahabharata, Drona Parva. Those who have a stunted growth of hair on the upper lip are generally called Khasas. As such, the Khasa are the Mongolians, the Chinese, and the others who are so designated.
Yeah.
The above mentioned.
Stop over here. It's already 9, 10, 16. What we'll do is we'll continue this on Wednesday. Okay, so tomorrow I won't be there. I'll be actually going for my seva, and we will read Srila Prabhupada's lectures based on these shlokas, what we have studied so far. So Priyanka will be taking up the lead, or Rupa Mataji, who will be taking up the lead? Anybody who's free tomorrow? Priyanka?
Yes, Mataji, I will be free. Yeah.
Okay. Rupa Mataji, you will be there tomorrow? Rupa
Okay, Mataji, I will be there.
So yeah, so you all both, you all can see how you all can coordinate each other. You know Priyanka Mataji's WhatsApp number or calling number?
Oh,
Priyanka
yeah.
Mataji,
Can you text me one more?
yeah.
Yes, Mataji, I have your number. I'll text.
Has
Yeah,
my number.
yeah, text her number, right? ठीक है ना? तो दोनों coordinate कर लेना. And then
From where we need to do this one or Prabhupada's lectures?
No, yeah, Prabhupada lectures, Mataji, because there's a good explanation for this particular text. Text number 18, I have a lot to explain regarding these verses. And then 19 also I have a lot of explanation. 20 also have a lot of explanation. So we'll be continuing from this particular para from on Wednesday. Okay. So thank you, dear devotee, for joining.
Lectures on 18th and 19th tomorrow, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Tomorrow we need to do Prabhupada lectures on 18th and 19th. Is that correct?
No, I'll give the link to you. That you all read it. I'll be giving the link to you on WhatsApp. You read that. So somebody is telling we have Rath Yatra tomorrow. Who said that? Lakshmi Narayan, yeah, you have Rath Yatra tomorrow, but in Indore and the USA there are no Rath Yatras. So, so then you can join in from Wednesday. We also, I don't know, at least I have my seva tomorrow. So whether it, because we are celebrating Rath Yatra on Sunday over here in Pune. So we'll be having services, yeah. Anyways, yeah,
Rath Yatra happens every year at the same time or?
yeah, same tithi. Same tithi.
Okay.
Yeah, tithi will be the same. Like Ashadi Ekadashi, you can sit some tithi. The tithi will be the same, Mataji. Okay, yeah. Oh, Mataji, any special class on Rath Yatra? I had actually planned, to give on this, but I'll still give it on Wednesday. Bhagavad-gītā class, we'll have a Rath Yatra class then, in Hindi and English both. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.